Hello experts! So this is part 2 of our knitting video. If you haven't already, make sure to watch part 1. You can see that on the channel, and I'm going to have a link below for it. And so last time we talked about my friend Ariane's background and how she starts and approaches projects. And in this video, we're going to cover more resources and tips for new knitters. So I hope you enjoy, and thanks. What is something you wish you'd known about knitting before you started?
I wish that when I started, Havery was already around, because Havery is so amazing. And there's so much information that is now available to everybody easily for free. There's some parts of how, like, you can buy patterns, there's some paid patterns, but there's so much more content being produced and shared. And because before, things were like a brand, like a yarn brand like Rowan or Barocco, they would have catalogs that would publish pattern, but it would be only on paper and only for their yarn, and they would have they still do something that's like they'll have a team of designers. Now with Havery, anyone can publish their work, and you have so much more variety, you have so much more different people, different design, different, because knitting is it's so different from different traditions of knitting, from different people, because we're all very different, and we can always think about something, oh, I never thought of this, and you come up with a new technique. And what is amazing on Havery, that you can just easily share that with everyone and anyone, and I find that absolutely amazing. So I wish Havery had been around for longer. Havery was definitely a game changer in the knitting industry, to make it more people, like younger people, attract younger people, because you have like younger designers also that would appeal to a younger demographic. You have smaller business producing yarn, so you're not attached to the big brands and the kind of more, let's say, mainstream, that kind of cater to a like older, not everybody or everything, but brands that have been around for a while.
Because you don't normally think of knitting as being something people our age are interested in, or younger,
but they are, like, there's so many, but it's, I think Havery has like a huge contribution towards that. So, but what, 20 years ago, that was just not possible. Like 20 years ago, I have, like, you probably, you too, we had like speed dial, like speed, like the dual thing.
We had dial-up modems.
So it was just not possible. So Havery. And I also wish I knew about fibers. Because in Brazil, because it's such a warm climate, you go to a yarn store, everything is acrylic. And I didn't know what acrylic was. And it looks really pretty. It feels really great. But it's not good. So there's a wool production, but it's small. But like Brazil has a lot of cotton. And you can knit with cotton, especially a lot of people crochet. But you can knit with cotton, and I just didn't know. I thought it was all the same. So I wish I had been educated more for like about fibers, and it took me a while to make this click, because my mom always purchased clothing like 100% cotton, and or 100% linen, or like a natural. And for her, that was so important, and I remember that more clearly, because when she would buy like a gift for like someone who was having a baby, who had like a friend of the family, or a family member having, and she would put together like a gift. I remember her was like, no, like I would go with her to the store, and I remember her like, I don't want this one because
Yeah.
this one has polyester, this one it's not, I want 100% cotton. And she
Right.
was very strict, and
Mhm.
I never made the click
Mhm.
for some reason
Yeah.
that maybe it's not really good, and I
Mhm.
shouldn't be knitting with that. So I wish I knew more, and wool is just fascinating when you get to know. Is like going to the farmer's market and you realize that it's not only one type of tomato. Like you
Mhm.
have huge variety, and it's the same type of wool. You have different like breeds, and every type of breed produces a different type of wool, and those wools are fantastic. And it's a material that's gonna last, it's durable. It's so I really wish I knew that from the beginning, because
Right.
that's because there's such a huge price gap between an acrylic and wool.
Yeah.
If you start with acrylic and you don't understand why wool costs that much, it's like, why would I pay that if I can be paying at Walmart?
Yeah.
So it's hard for people to realize that they are not the same thing.
Right.
So you're not comparing apples with apples.
Mhm.
You were comparing two extremely different things. So the price, there's no comparison of price.
Of course.
But making that switch is very hard. So if you already start, you already have a different baseline for price.
Right.
Even if you're going for like an affordable wool, it's not going to be as cheap as an acrylic.
Right.
But you start with a different expectation.
Yeah.
So it's easier to and then you go towards maybe prices, like it can be really pricey, like cashmere, and more rare, like yak.
Yeah.
It can go fast, like it can get pretty pricey, but at least your reference, it's on the real thing.
Yeah.
So I really wish I knew that, but cannot know everything. That's how we learn.
Yeah.
And so if you're anybody starting, or if you're knitting with acrylic right now,
Yeah.
I highly suggest switching for wool.
Yeah. The linen, how much does that usually run you?
How much cost?
Yeah.
This
one you got on special, right?
That one, one I got on special 15% off, but we're in Canada, so we pay 15% taxes. So let's say it was the taxes.
Yeah.
So I got, like, I save on taxes.
Basically.
So this is a 50-gram skein. But it's Italian linen, is high quality. This company is called Quince & Co.
Yeah.
Which is, they were pioneer in the United States, bringing the production of wool back to the United States, because a lot of it got to China, outsourced to China, mainly Turkey.
Okay.
But when you get there, not everybody had the most ethical practice with animals. So it's very tricky.
Right.
So Quince & Co. The United States used to have a very strong textile tradition. They had mills and they had like sheep, but that industry slowly kind of died. Like it got smaller and smaller. So they only have a few mills running right now. Not as many producers.
Yeah.
So Quince, I think Quince started around when I started knitting. So let's say 13 years ago, 14 years ago. So they start to bring it back to the United States, so sourcing their wool from like farms in the United States.
Right.
The mills in the United States. So they have high standards.
Right.
Their products they're great. So it's sure that's not. I'm sure you can find cheaper linen.
Yeah.
But I really like Quince & Co. work. So this is an Italian linen.
Yeah.
So it's $14.95 a skein.
Okay.
The problem is not the price per skein.
It's
how many skeins.
Yeah. How many skeins do you need for this project? 8.
That's the problem.
That's
So the cardigan. Because I bought something now. I have no problem saying how much I pay on wool. I pay $150, but I had a pricey skein like I bought something else that was very pricey, like it was
Okay.
$35 only for
Wow.
one, but it's like silk and
Oh, okay, I see.
so if you take that, so a hundred and something dollars
For the cardigan, basically?
for the cardigan.
Yeah.
But you have to think the things that I have needed, I still have things that I needed when I began knitting back 8 years ago.
Yeah.
So we will last you a very long time.
If you take care of it.
Well, I really, like, I take really good care of it, so we will last you a long time. And if you go to a store, I don't think a linen cardigan is going to cost you that much less.
Probably not. Not a good quality one.
100%. Well, I bought this dress. This dress is 100%. The dress here is 100% linen.
Yeah.
And that cost me
$85.
$85.
Oh yeah.
Well, but it's made in Canada. It's from Atelier B. It's a company that I really like. They design in Canada. They're made in Canada. They have high quality. Also, let's not begin talking about textile industries and how terrible that is. So, I don't think it's. I think they're pricier things and worse things you can spend your money on.
Once this is made, how do you have to take care of it? Like, imagine this is like hand wash only, or
linen. It's just that I wash on my washing machine, but I kind of hand wash with my washing machine. I use a delicate cycle. I use a special soap. Linen is more forgiving than wool.
Right.
The problem with the wool, and which is kind of what makes it delicate and harder to take care of, is that wool doesn't take a frottement. Sorry, there's some words that I only know in French. Like abrasion.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
And drastic change of temperature.
Right.
So if you take a wool sweater, 100% wool, like non-treated, and you put in like any starch, like in your washing machine, and it would like really hot, and it gets really cold, the wool will felt, and like the being like on the machine with different like other clothing and like this agitation would make the wool felt.
Yeah.
So you cannot, like, when you hand wash, that's why you hand wash it, because you control, like you soak it and then you take out of like your bath, and then you take the excess of water with a towel and you lie flat, is so the wool won't felt.
Yeah.
Linen doesn't have the problem.
Right.
Linen won't felt. The problem with any vegetable fiber, and that is true for linen and somewhat for cotton, that they shrink.
Yeah.
So if you put them in the dryer, they will shrink. This is great if you have something that is a bit oversized, so we'll bring it back to size.
Right.
But linen is not. It's more it's easier to take care than wool. But I tend to keep those things separate. Like I keep a pillowcase in my bedroom, and I put my wool socks, I put sweaters, and then I do a big wash with them.
Yeah.
And it just, I incorporate it in my routine. So for me, it's just something it's just normal. It's not something that for me takes my time. Also, wool is not something that you need to wash.
Right.
You're not supposed to wash wool, because wool is supposed, like, wool, it doesn't let like dust sit. Like, it's really for the odors, like if you wear something directly on your skin without but normally you're wearing an undershirt, you're wearing something under it, you're not gonna wear it directly into your skin. So wool is not something that gets dirty often. So I probably wash my woolens twice a year. Tops.
Yeah.
Like, I wash them all when I put them away. It's very, very, very important to wash your woolens when you put them away for spring.
Yeah.
Because of moths. Don't put away anything that is not washed.
Yeah.
So I do a big hand wash. I fold them and I put them away. And I think I'm gonna go, like, when I take them out for fall,
wash them again, kind of thing.
I don't think so. I think I'm only gonna wash again when I put them away, or something gets dirty, or something gets smelly because you're sweaty, like you sweat and stuff. I will wash them, but it's not something that I wash like once a week. At all. Not different for linen. Because it's for summer.
Right.
So I think that with this new, like, acrylic and the synthetic fibers, and that's in, like, across the board in general, we lost this knowledge of taking care of our clothing, because clothing is supposed to, like, good quality clothing is supposed to last you a very long time.
That's true. Yes.
And you're supposed to take good care of them. So it's something that through my knitting I start thinking about my clothing. So I try to buy good quality clothing, and I try to take good care of them. So it becomes, if I need to hand wash, I don't hand wash. Like, for some people that's an issue.
Right.
But for me, it's normal.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I think a lot of people, like, they just go out and buy more clothes instead of fixing things, and they don't take proper care of it in the first place.
But if you buy something really cheap, you have zero incentive to fix it.
Of course.
Why would you spend your time fixing it?
Why even learn to sew so you can fix a $5 shirt?
Exactly.
You know, it probably costs you more in needles and thread than it does to just get another shirt.
So,
yeah. But that's not always a good thing either, because it just means you're wasting so much stuff. You know?
Oh, it's terrible. No,
so much waste.
It's terrible. So I'm trying to invest, and in a way, the knitting is investing. Like, if you're putting the money into hand knit, like my sweaters, last me years. Like, I made my boyfriend a hat. It's gonna be his third summer, and the hat is perfect. So that, when you're gonna say, oh, it was really expensive, that hat cost me probably $15 worth of wool. But it's on his third winter, and he wears it every day. So not really. So
because if you think about a $15 hat, and from the store, probably would last you one winter before it starts to stretch or it starts to get funky or something like this, you know.
So I think it's worth it.
Felt
the money. Of course, I am reasonable. I try to be reasonable, because you can get pretty expensive. Like, you can get, like, things that are like, but this is just not reasonable. I try to be reasonable, but when I decide to make a project and I decide to put the money, it's not. I was like, I don't have a problem with it, because I know I'm gonna make the sweater, I'm gonna wear it, it's gonna last me a few years at least. All the things that I made is because it's the color that doesn't really go with me anymore, or the style that doesn't. It's not because
it's falling apart.
No,
like this, right?
Nothing. Except for socks, but socks are different. Like, they see a lot of, like, friction. It's very different. I don't think it's the same standards.
Right.
But nothing. It's because it was falling apart, or because it was just because I made it a few years ago and it doesn't match my style anymore, or the color's not really my color, because we change, right? We grow, so I think there's something to be said about that, about quality.
Right.
And knitting made me realize, like, everything else that I wear.
Right.
I don't think that I would have had this thought process if I was not a knitter.
Right.
I would just go to the store, I would just buy the clothes and wouldn't really think about it.
Right.
But the fact that the first thing, like, when I go shopping, the first thing that I look is what is this made of? The first thing. And I think it's a reflect that because I became a knitter.
That's cool. All right. How do you? I I mean, you've talked a little bit about how you have like to-go projects and you have multiple projects going at a time. But how do you basically integrate knitting into your life? Because you have other things in your life. You have social life. You have work. You have, whatever. How do you fit that in between? I guess you could say everything else.
I think there's something to be said about the to-go project. It's something that is always brainless. It's something that I have to no concentration. I don't have to think about it. I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm not gonna stop and like I have to be no. It's just a movement. It's just it's just to do something in a way.
Yeah.
So I think that helps a lot. Because I can take it anywhere. So I try to have like a small project like socks.
Yeah.
I always have a pair of socks. I decided I had to start making to other people because I had too many. It's like, well, there's only so many socks a person can have. So I made a few for my parents. They love them.
Yeah.
They got super cold in my hometown this week. It's winter for them.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So you got 6 degrees like this afternoon, and for them this is really cold. So I text my mom, "Are you wearing my socks?" She's like, "I am." So my parents really enjoy it. So I made a few for them. I made for a really close friend of theirs that moved to London, and they really like her, and I know her, and she's such a sweetheart. So I was like, so I made a pair of socks for her, as in like this packet. I made a hat, also make a cowl for her, as in like this. Please don't be scared of winter. Although in London it's really not that bad. And she was like, "Oh, it's really cold." I was like, "There's 40 centimeters of snow, and it's gonna be like minus 40, like 50 million degrees. Like London's gonna be what 10 degrees. Like it doesn't get nearly
it's not
as
Brazil. Right?
It's not Brazil for sure.
Yeah.
But so my mom wanted to make something for her, and I started to make for other people because I had too many. Hats are so great for that. Because you're always in the round. If you're not doing a pattern or a motive, although some patterns they're very easy to memorize, so I can also do it. So I always try to have a few projects that I can just pick it up and I have no pressure.
And these things are very portable?
They're very small, very portable. I try to... it's also... There's something to be said, like the cardigan, I want to finish it.
Yeah.
So there's not a pressure. Like I'm not going to put myself on a deadline or needing it crazy. But at some point, I would like to finish sooner than later. My on-to-go projects, I'll finish them when I finish them.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. I have no expectations where they're gonna be done or where I don't make them with a certain time. I was like, I would like I made a sweater last year for my birthday, which was really funny because on my birthday last year we had a heat wave. So I was wearing sandals and a dress, and I was like, oh, that was not what I planned. It was super crazy warm. So I'm not making them with an expectation to finish for a certain time, for a certain occasion. It's just totally, they're done when they're done. I went on vacation in March. Like vacation, I always bring something, and it's always going to be like a sock or a hat, only to have something at night that I would need, or waiting on the airport I would need, just to have. But most of the time when I'm traveling, I'm not needing. I get really overwhelmed very easily, so I'm like soaking in everything. But I always have something. So I started like in March. I cast on a pair of socks. Like I'll bring this pair of socks. I had this yarn that I got as a gift. I was like, I use this. This is perfect. It has been sitting like on my stash for years. It's like, well, I need to do this. So I started in March, and I recently finished them.
Yeah.
So we are in July. I think I finished them a week ago, 2 weeks ago tops, and that's fine. And I posted on my Instagram, and I finished like we were in the middle of the heat wave, and someone was like, "Oh, this is perfect for the season." I was like, "Doesn't really matter. I will put them and I wear them when I wear them."
It's true.
So I think that's how I get a lot of knitting done.
Yeah.
I don't know, if a lot of people think this is a privilege, but I work from home
Yeah.
a lot, and I write,
Mm-hmm.
and I do a lot of I'm on the computer a lot, so I often need a break to like I need not to look at this text that I have been writing for an hour, so I can look at it again and make adjustments that need doing. So I would just, I would either just go like I'll do my dishes, or I will take a shower, if I need to take a shower. But I also have my knitting, and I do a few stitches, watching like some random YouTube or Netflix for a few minutes until like my brain tells me I'm ready to start again, and I go either do something else or keep going. So I have like this tiny, not tiny, they can be not super long, but that I can knit a little bit while I'm working as like a brain. Otherwise I just cannot get work done as fast. And I try to keep a project that I need more. Right now I don't have it. A project that I need to be alone and I need to be concentrated. But I try to have one at a time, because it's very frustrating when you want to start so much and you just don't have the time, and just sit and you cannot give it time. So I became realistic about how much I can take on. So I try to have like one challenging, like I want to learn a different technique, or this is a stitch that requires like a chart that I need to read and really need to follow, and I need to like every row I need to go and make sure I know where I am and I keep track of my rows. So I try to have one, because there's a lot of satisfaction that comes from them. There's a lot of satisfaction that comes from like this, just plain stockinette, like this is really simple. There's a lot of satisfaction that comes from a very hard pattern that you know you put a lot of time and work on. But unfortunately I don't have that time, that alone, constant, not tired, because I can be alone but really tired and not with motivated to do it, and not with the brain space, like in the brain space to do it. So that time, I came to realize that when we grow older and become like somewhat adults, it's so rare. So it's kind of like this, a thing that shows that. But I unfortunately don't have as much time as I did before.
What's your favorite sort of things about knitting? What's the least favorite things about knitting, if you have any least favorite things?
My least favorite things, that's a hard one. Well, I have to say for me, because for the type of person that I am, although the internet is amazing and Alvary is amazing, there's so much being produced, and you can discover so many small producers and different wools that you just want to try everything. You just want to need all the patterns. You just don't have the time. And for me it's very frustrating. And although I think it's amazing that you have self-publishing people, we have like independent knitting magazines, they're just fantastic. And the fact that those people nowadays can do that, and you can have, like, we have an excellent publication from Finland, if I'm not mistaken. It's called Land Magazine. It's just so gorgeous. It's so well made. The photography is just stunning, and I don't think like 20 years ago that would have been possible. So the fact that you have those creative people with that like this vision that they can put out their work, I find this just fantastic. But there's so much being produced, and it's so, for me, I sometimes get overwhelmed, because like there's so many wools that I want to try, and I don't have the time, and I have to be realistic about it. So I just cannot just go and buy them. I have to be realistic, like how much time I have to need, how much time it's gonna take me, so we'll plan accordingly. And unfortunately, sometimes the things just you don't catch up. So you have like I kind of have my list of things I want to try, but when it comes to the time that I can actually try them, I'm probably going to be into something else.
Yeah.
So it's great, but I sometimes get overwhelmed. Sometimes I was like, I don't want to look at Instagram because I'm going to see something, and as I said, like, it's expensive. So if I decided to make a sweater, I put money on it. I just don't want to just leave it.
Right.
Because I would just feel too guilty about it.
Right.
So I find it overwhelming, but I think in a good way. Because that means that there are a lot of talent and a lot of people that are able to show their work that before wouldn't be able to. So it's a good overwhelming.
So do you find sometimes that you have, I mean, other than the sort of overwhelming need to do all the knitting, do you come against stress or obstacles? What do you do when you're having trouble with a project or something like this, or how do you cope with that?
I cope better now. But before I would sometimes not finish the project, or I'll put the projects aside. Now I think that it came with this realization, as in like, this costs money, and it's a lot of money. So I want to have, no matter what, a final object that I'm gonna wear.
Yeah.
So now, even if I'm frustrated and I'm angry, if I made a mistake or I made something wrong, I go back, like, I wind it, and I start again.
Right.
No matter how frustrated, like angry and frustrated, and that is, I think it's worth it fixing your mistakes.
Yeah.
It's worth having something that you're going to be proud of at the end. Like, there's some mistakes that you can live with. That's like, they don't, like, you cannot really see, and that's fine.
Right.
But there's some that's like, there's no way, you have to go back and you have to start again. I came to realize that I have maybe half of my projects, I start with an idea and halfway through they become something else. And I don't, before I was like, no, I need to finish it. And now it's like, why not? Like, if it's not meant to be, if I'm not enjoying it, let's start over. And that came with a realization. Like, I had a customer once that came. I used to work at a yarn store.
Yeah.
So she came to the yarn store. She was an older lady. Like, she was probably in her 70s.
Yeah.
She was wearing all the hand knits that it was winter, so she was wearing like anything, like all, like mittens, hat, cowl, cardigan, shawl, probably socks, I don't know. And she was a great lady, and we started talking, and she started sending, like, showing me pictures of her projects, like piles of stuff, and that kind of shocked me. And it's like, if I keep on this rhythm, if I keep knitting, what's gonna be of me when I'm 70? Like, I don't want to be this yarn hoarder, or like, or just bunch of stuff.
Were these all projects that she had started and not finished, or
no finished projects?
okay.
But not necessarily all projects that she really wear or she really loves it. Because there's a thing about the process, like, some people really enjoy the process, and for them the final object, whatever.
Right.
And that's okay. But when I saw that, I was like, I want it to be a part, like, it's really important for me that I use it, that I enjoy it, so I don't have a problem anymore, as in, like, oh, I'm not feeling this, I'll start again. Sometimes not even for me. I have bought yarn I was like, I'm making this sweater, and in a couple of months I'll change my mind, and I made like I bought like sweater quantity of wool to make a sweater for myself in a color that I was like, I don't think I can pull this off, and I ended up making 2 sweaters for my friends' daughters. So I try to always do something with what I purchase, no matter if I get discouraged, even if it's not for me. And also, there's a lot of people that have a hard time giving away hand knits. And I have had really bad experience by gifting things that I had made, and that can hurt you. Oh yeah. Like there were friendships that no longer exist. Oh yeah. But I came with more like lâcher prise.
Yeah.
That it's okay.
Right.
Because I don't want to be 70 and like piles of stuff. Like I was like, I don't want to be. Nothing wrong with that lady.
Yeah.
Her things were beautiful, but I don't want that for myself.
Right.
That's very important for me. So I'm trying to make sure I finish all my projects. That if I change my mind halfway through it, it's okay.
Yeah.
You do something else.
Right.
And it's fine. Because before I had like this anxiety that I wanted to finish it, and you want to have it because you want to show off, because people talk about it and people are so impressed by it. And of course, like this ego busting. It's awesome. But I can realize it's like, that's not important.
Right.
If it takes me 6 months, it takes me 6 months. And that's okay. Because it's going to take me 6 months. I'm going to wear it for years. That's fine. It takes a year. What does it matter? It doesn't matter. So
it's good. No, I think it's a good attitude. I think, you know, everybody, I think, who does something creative, they need to always remember they need to learn the time when you have to be able to put something what's the word I'm looking for here, sort of put things out into the world, you know, and not constantly be working at it, or never finishing it, you know.
It's tough though.
Yeah,
I have to say, it
of
was
course.
over a few years. This is something recent, maybe 2, 3. I think it really came with the realization.
Yeah.
Because I was a student for a really long time, and when you go and work full time, you have a different notion of your budget. Because my budget before, as in like no
budget at all.
No budget, but like I couldn't really splurge. Like I did not really just buy like $300 worth of wool.
Yeah.
Which, not that I can do this often now, let's be clear here, but you can more.
Yeah.
So I came to realizations of, and I'm always very aware of my money, like that's something that was really important in my family, really important for my father, and so I think it comes from it. As in like, although you are like you have more disposable income, you're just not gonna go spend it like that. It's just not super reasonable. So I think it was tightly connected with having like, what is my cost of living, like what is my budget, and how my hobby now fits in my budget, not before, as in how my hobby kind of fits in my student life.
Right. Okay. We've gotten a lot of tips already, but do you have any advice for people just starting out, like how they can start out with learning to knit, and what sort of resources they should probably look for when they're starting out? Yeah.
First is try to look for a local yarn store. They most likely going to be having classes. Although YouTube is great and there's a lot of resources, I go to YouTube often when I need to just a reminder, like a fresh up, like how do I do this again? When you're learning and you have no standards, you don't know, you have no reference of what you're learning or how to learn or what to expect. It's very easy, and I have seen this so much, to learn a bad habit or a bad technique and then that's like, because the knitting, it's manual, like it's kind of like a a muscle memory.
Mm-hmm.
Like your body kind of remembers it. It's not, there's nothing, once you get it, it's not intellectual anymore. So if you get used to that bad habit, getting rid of it is going to be very hard.
Right.
So if you go to a yarn store, they're probably going to have a teacher, they're going to probably have some sort of help. So I would highly suggest looking for one if you cannot afford like a full class.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time they'll have like a one-on-one, like a 15 minutes or half an hour, just to check that you got it right.
Right.
There's a lot of people that learn from friends, like me. I learned from a friend, and I tell from experience how frustrating that can be.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't go forward because
Right.
she couldn't teach me. The fact that you can do something doesn't mean that you can teach something.
Right.
And doesn't mean you can teach it well. I'm not gonna say that there's not a lot of help that can come from a friend, like exchange, like expertise, but like on a level that you kind of both know what you're talking about. When you don't, you just don't know, and it's so new, so you take anything, it's hard to tell. So say like get to a teacher, someone that they like teaches more than one person, because that person most likely are gonna know how to kind of show to different type of people, different needs. Sometimes people are left-handed, and that's different. There's so many. So look for your local yarn store, or someone that teaches. Shouldn't be too hard to find. And what I've taught. The second thing is buy the best yarn that your money can afford. There are affordable. I can suggest two Cascade 220 and Knit Picks. If you don't know if you're gonna like it, you don't know if your final object is gonna be good, if you don't want to invest too much money, but still start with wool.
Right.
Don't start with acrylic. Acrylic is plastic. Like it has no breathability, like wool and linen and cotton. But it's like they breathe. Like you're not like étouffé, like you're not like stuffing them.
You're not.
So they're breathable.
Right.
So if you start with wool, you know how it feels. You know the touch of it, how it's supposed to feel. Even if you start with an affordable wool, it's okay. And then you move to, like, I'm not gonna say better. Like an affordable wool is not a bad wool. It's gonna be probably maybe a softer wool, a breed specific, for example. But start with the best needles that you can afford. I would suggest bamboo needles because they're not as slippery. A metal is pretty slippery. Like my grandmother had some knitting needles and they're metal. They're really not the best. So I highly suggest bamboo or wood.
Right.
That would go between like $13.
Yeah.
So it's not terrible. The problem is that when you start at it, you need many. You're not gonna have one needle. Like, so it gets pricey. But buy the best needle your money can afford and the best wool, and don't start with acrylic. That's what I would suggest.
Cool. All right. So we're nearly at the end here. Is there anything else you want to advertise? Any particular producers that you favor?
Well, I work for Julie Esla. That is she's a local indie dyer. She hand dyes wool. She's in Quachikook, where we make the ice cream. She's great. Julie is it's very important to her. She's very environmental conscious, so she's very important to her that her pigments, they're like environmental friendly or less impact possible. So she put a lot of time on it. She tries to outsource her yarn. she has 2 lines that they created from the United States. So she's, because wool, a lot of wool is produced in Australia,
Right.
especially merino, so that travels a lot. So I have to say that, like, the fleece from the sheep, like from Australia, is probably going to travel somewhere where it's going to be dyed. If it's dying the fleece, so it's traveling to a location, then it's going to travel again to be spun. So it travels a lot. So bringing the production to the United States, like, your carbon footprint is lower.
Yes.
Much lower. So because the wool is not traveling as much. So I think she's one of the few here or the only in Quebec doing that, trying to outsource. It's very hard to outsource in Canada. The production is very small, so they cannot do it on a too big of a scale. So the States is easier because they have bigger flocks, so they have a bigger production. So Julie is doing that, and I highly admire what she's doing. So I write for her a bit. So if you see something by her, might be me. So I suggest checking her out. She's really awesome. She's a great person. She's a great leader. And
where do people find her wool?
Here in Montreal, she has an Etsy shop. I'll send you the link. She has an Etsy shop, but she Espace Tricot here in Montreal carries her wool. La Maison Tricotée here in Montreal carries her wool also.
Okay.
She has a few stores in different parts of Quebec, but she's from here, so it's very important for her also to be very well represented in Quebec and Canada. She has also stores in Canada, like Vancouver, Victoria.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So on her website, you can check the source that will carry her yarn, and you can follow her on social media. And she's really great.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Ariane.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for everybody for watching. Like we were saying before, we're gonna have the links to pretty much everything we've talked about today in the description below, so you can check those things out. And I hope this was informative. Thank you for watching. I'm Angela, and this is Everyday Expertise.
Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this interview. Be sure to share this video with friends and colleagues who may also enjoy this topic. Let us know your thoughts by leaving a comment below, or check the description for our social media. See you next time.